In this video, I'm going to present the main features of Audiometry Trainer. Audiometry Trainer is a software for practicing clinical audiometry and clinical masking. Basically, what the software does is simulating the responses of patients with different types of hearing loss, so for example with sensory neural or conductive or mixed hearing loss, and with different degrees of hearing loss, of course. And this allows you to measure the audiogram for these patients, and so you can practice clinical audiometry and also, when necessary, clinical masking. The simulations are done on the basis of psychometric functions, and this makes the software quite realistic in the sense that the detection of a stimulus at a given sound pressure level is not deterministic, but it is probabilistic, with the probability of detection of the stimulus increasing with increases in the stimulus level. When you launch Audiometry Trainer, it automatically loads a virtual patient case file, which is chosen at random from its internal database of case files. You can load a different case file by clicking on the File menu here at the top, and then on Load Case. And here you can choose different case files from the database of from the internal database of case files in Audiometry Trainer. If you want to just load one of these case files at random, you click again on the File menu and then Load Random Case, and this will load a random case file. The interface of Audiometry Trainer is similar to that of a PC-based audiometer. You have two channels. Channel 1, which is used to deliver the tones to be detected, and channel 2, which is used to deliver masking noise. On the left panel, you have the controls for channel 1, so you can select the ear that you're testing, either the right or the left ear, and you can select the transducers that you're using to send the tones, so you have a choice between supraural earphones, insert earphones, or a bone conduction vibrator. And you should note that the interoral attenuation will change depending on the transducers that you choose. For example, insert earphones will generally have a greater interoral attenuation than supraural earphones. To add realism to the simulation, the interoral attenuation values are also frequency dependent, and they're not the same for each patient. As in real life, different virtual patients may have somewhat different interoral attenuation values, and these values for each patient are based on the range of interoral attenuation values published in the research literature. The S marker in the audiogram plot shows the current stimulus level and the current stimulus frequency. In order to increase or decrease the stimulus level, you can use the up and down arrow keys on your keyboard. And in order to increase or decrease the stimulus frequency, you can use the right and left arrow keys on your keyboard. To start playing the stimulus, you can press the space bar on your keyboard, and when you do so, the stimulus light here at the bottom will light up. And if the patient heard the stimulus, the response light here on the left panel will also light up. So now I'm going to measure the threshold at this frequency. We already saw that the patient responded at 35 dBHL, so I'm going to go down by 10 dB. I get no response at 25 dBHL. I go up by 5 dB, I get a response at 30 dBHL. Go down again by 10 decibels, no response. I go up by 5 dB, no response. I go up by 5 dB, no response. Go up again by 5, I get a response at 35 dBHL. Go down by 10, no response. Go up by 5, I get a response, and I'm satisfied with declaring the threshold at 30 dBHL. And in order to mark the threshold on the audiogram plot, I can either use the Mark Threshold button here, or I can press the T key on the keyboard. If I wanted to mark a no response, I could either use the no response button here, or I could press the N key on the keyboard. And if I wanted to mark a masking dilemma, I could either use the masking dilemma button here, or I could press the X key on the keyboard. And finally, if I wanted to delete a threshold that I've already marked, I could press the delete key on the keyboard. Audiometry Trainer also allows you to perform an automatic threshold search using the Hughes and Westlake procedure. To do this, you simply click here on the Auto Thresh Search button, and it will start searching a threshold at all the frequencies. The reason why I added this feature is that the most interesting aspect of clinical audiometry is masking. So once you've mastered the mechanics of the Hughes and Westlake procedure, you might want to quickly measure the unmasked threshold using this automatic threshold search to then move on to the more interesting stuff, that is determining whether masking is needed, and if it is needed, actually measure the mask thresholds. So we finished finding thresholds, the unmasked thresholds for the right ear. We'll measure them for the left ear, again using the automatic threshold search. We are done with the left ear, so we can measure the bone conduction thresholds for the right ear now. So we will move now to the left ear, and we can see that we have potential airborne gaps for the left ear. So instead of measuring masked thresholds, we will start measuring masked thresholds right away. And the masker level that we will need will be equal to the stimulus level. We will start at 30 dB HL plus 10 decibels of occlusion effect, considering that in the non-test ear, in order to deliver the masking noise, we are using supraoral headphones. We could be using insert earphones instead, but for this case, we'll stick to supraoral headphones. Plus, we will need a 10 decibels safety pad. So the total initial masker level will be equal to 50 dB in effective masking units. In this case, we don't have a potential airborne gap for the right ear, so we don't need to add that to the initial masker level. In order to set the initial masker level, I input the level that I wish here in this channel 2 level box. And in order to turn on the masker, I also need to check the channel 2 on checkbox. And when I do that, you can see that there is an M symbol appearing in the audiogram plot that indicates the current masker level. A further thing that I can do is to lock the two channels so that when I change the level of the signal, the level of the masker will automatically change by the same amount. And so we are ready to start testing. I get here a response at 30 dB HL. I'm going to increase the masker level by 10 decibels to confirm that it's a genuine response. I'm still getting a response at with a higher masker level, so I'm going to increase the masker level again. I'm still getting a response, and so I'm satisfied with declaring threshold here at 30 dB HL for the left ear. Okay, so we want complete measuring all the thresholds for this patient, but once you've measured all the thresholds, you might want to check that your measurements are accurate. And in order to do this, you can use these checkboxes here on the left panel, show actual thresholds. So if I wanted to show the actual thresholds for air conduction for the left ear, I would check this box here. And you can see that there are some symbols appearing. These symbols are median thresholds which are calculated over a large number of simulations for this virtual patient, and the result on each simulation will not be exactly necessarily the same. So we can also plot confidence intervals around these thresholds, and this provides a better way to check that our measurements are in the correct range. So we can see here that our measure thresholds all fall within the 95% confidence intervals for this patient. So now I'm going to remove these actual thresholds markers. And the final thing that is useful to know is that in order to avoid visual clutter, sometimes you might want to hide some of the thresholds that you measured. And in order to do so, you can use these show estimated thresholds checkboxes here. So if I wanted, for example, to hide the unmasked bone conduction thresholds for the right ear, I would uncheck this box here. And if I want to show them again, I check the box, and so this is useful to avoid visual clutter on the audiogram plot. That's all for this video. I hope it was useful.